Testing, 1, 2, hello. Is it working? I think it's working. I can see me. Well, of course I can hear me. I'm in the room. Hello, folks. How you all doing out there? It has been a while. Life has been, in all sorts of ways, not conducive to sitting down and streaming anything interesting on Twitch for a little while. I mean, there's been interesting stuff going on, but it's mostly involved either building work or the insides of aeroplanes. And neither of those environments are terribly conducive to doing live streams. But yeah, I missed it. It's nice to be back. It's fun to be back on the airwaves, as they say. And we're kicking off today with something different, something a little bit ambitious, because I'm not going to be doing any coding or anything like that. I have a big pile of bits. I've got a whole stack of boxes and components, and we're going to turn them into a new computer and see if it works. Now, it is very, very hot here in southeast London, where I am right now, which means I've got fans running and windows open, which means if the background noise is insurmountable, drop a message in the chat and just let me know, and I'll see what I can do to balance the sort of thermal management. But in many ways, that's kind of a microcosm for what I'm actually doing, because the things I mainly use, look at that, the wind has just blown the blinds open. There we go. Oh, that'll be fine. Main things that the new PC is going to be used for are audio and streaming and video editing, and so it's a whole kind of thermal regulation, keeping it cool, but also it not being too noisy. So in many ways, the entire world right now is, or certainly the bit of the world where I live, is a bit of a microcosm for the inside of a PC. So right, I'm going to stick this back on here so that doesn't flap about quite so enthusiastically. There we go, that should be fine. All right. So I got a big stack of bits from a company called Quiet PC, who I'm not endorsing in any way. I just like them because they have good stock, and when I order stuff from them, they tend to send the right thing. So let's... now, I've set up a whole bunch of different cameras to what I normally do on these streams, so this is going to be quite exciting today. Let's see, if I switch over to that, and then I hit that one there, what you should get is, there we go, that's my workbench, which is normally used to working on guitars, which is why it's a Black & Decker Workmate with this sort of padded thing on top of it to stop it scratching the paintwork. But I figure for today, that's going to work pretty well for building a new computer on it. So, right, part one. I've pulled out a lot of stops with this thing. One very, very big box. Now, let me switch that across to there so you can see it. Yeah, check this out. This thing is huge. It didn't look that big on the internet, but I was looking at it on a phone screen, which is kind of small. So, right, which side of this do I want to open up? I think I want this down that side. So this is it's a fractal design. Switch back to the bench cam, and you folks should be able to see. Right, let me see, how do I get it open is always the first entertaining part of the process. You know what, I'm gonna have to resort to something uncharacteristic. I'm gonna see if it came with a manual. That's what I'm gonna do. Hello, Chris. Right, what do we got here? We've got, yep, okay. Big, heavy, right, that opens that way. So this side should pop off. And the side is not popping off. Maybe I need to open the other side of it. There we go. Oh, that looks promising. Stymied at the first hurdle. Right. Folks who join the stream now are just going to see this expanse of black and have no idea what's going on with it. I'm going to back that camera up just a little bit more. So, okay, so there you go. Right. So the case, this is the Fractal case. It is big, it is heavy, It is chunky, it is very solid. I cannot work out how to get it open. I'm going to move that blind up out of the way. There we go. Right. So it's got a couple of what look like heavy-duty catches on the back corner here, which you can't quite see. And right, let's take the top off, see if we can work our way down from there. If not, I'm going to just go and read the manual because it does have one. So this whole top panel pops off. There we go. All right, that's promising. Oh, that's nice. Oh. The build quality on these things is, yeah, you could use that to stop ammunition, which I'm hoping is not one of the scenarios it's engineered for, but you know, it's nice to know you got the option. All right, so we got a dust filter in the top there. Okay, we'll pop that out. And then we've got, yeah, there we go. So that's the panel needs to come off there. So I'm thinking this probably will, if I can work out how to unclip it, it should slide. All right. Yep, it's definitely moving. It's the part they never show you in the documentaries, right? I'm gonna get the manual. Pull the sides outwards, says Chris. Oh, look at that. Yep. Okay. Ah, all right. See, I knew doing this on stream was a good idea. Now, it's already... Okay. Interesting, it's got these little sort of sprung catches that clearly hold all the bits in place when you put it together properly. It looks like one of them's come loose. Let me just get a pair of pliers and pop that one out so that I can start things off on the right foot. So let's put that on there. Yeah, that looks like it should be threaded and clipped in there. I'm sure it doesn't matter. There are like 7 of these things on there. Okay, cool. All right. All right, what do we got? Yeah, right. Okay. That is the inside of a computer case. A couple of big fans. Yep, that's cool. All right. The last couple of machines I've built have all been like micro ITX, like little dinky ones. Well, not that dinky, but you know, significantly smaller than this thing. This is going to be an absolute beast. Right, let's see what we got in the box here. That has the Define 7 XL accessories. All right. Okay, so we got a replacement top panel here. That's if you don't want the solid panel, you can run a mesh panel on the top for better cooling, which is probably a good idea. We've got documentation. We've got drive bay blanking plate cover. We got a bunch of caddies and things for putting hard drives in. All right. And we've got a little box of accessories, which I'm guessing is Mounting screws, hard drive dampeners, motherboard standoffs, cable ties. Okay, cool. Nice, we can work with that. And that's it. That is the accessories. All right. So, right. Welcome to the stream. Today on Twitch, Dylan reads the instruction manual. Da, 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 da. Okay, let's Introduction. Exploded diagram. All right, that's nice. Okay, ooh, shiny. It's got color coding. Wow, classy. Server build, builder's guide, remove side panels. Okay, so just lever those out. Install the power supply. Yep, that looks like a good place to start. That's what I would have done anyway, like, you know, but it's nice to know that the documentation agrees with my 25 plus years of PC building experience. Remove the top bracket, prepare the motherboard, install the I/O shield, install the motherboard assembly, okay. Connect front I/O, connect the Nexus 2 Plus fan hub, Nexus Plus 2 fan hub, graphics card, drives, yeah. All right. Okay, so this thing here is it's a crocodile clip with a earth on the other end. So I'm just going to clip that on here somewhere, just to make sure there's no static buildup on the case. I don't know if you still have to do that. Like, that was absolutely a back in the day anti-static bans for doing anything at all with any kind of memory, and that was back in the days when you bought a computer from printed advertisements in actual hard copy magazines. I don't know. Do we still do that? Do we not do that? We don't have the magazines anymore, so right. Let's get a power supply. See if it fits. Back in a moment. Right. The FSP Hydro Tie Pro. Yeah. Eli says, I love myself and don't build my own PCs anymore. Yeah. I like building PCs. I like building PCs because then if something goes wrong, you know kind of which bit went wrong and why, and you don't have to like send back the computer and they fix the computer and or replace the computer. You actually get to be like, no, it's probably that bit, so I can switch that out. Chris says, anti-static wristbands are probably fairly overkill. Nothing wrong with being safe, but you're highly unlikely to damage anything otherwise. So there was so much kind of accepted wisdom in the 90s. Because I remember, so like with tech, I sort of kept up with it. But the other thing that I was massively into when I was a teenager was mountain biking. And like mountain bike magazines in the 90s were absolutely full of like scientific evidence for things like why the 26-inch was the best size of wheel and why bar ends were more kind of efficient when you were climbing hills and all this kind of stuff. And of course, it's all fashion, because you go into a bike shop now and, you know, basically anything that I recognize from the scientifically proven mountain bike best practice of the 90s has either just been completely debunked, or they're like, nah, it's not fashionable anymore, we'll pick something else and say that's a good idea. And, you know, I wonder how much of obviously the state of computer hardware is such that anything that actually ran in the 90s is just a relic now. But, you know, wisdom, things like, oh, static buildup can damage memory chips, was like, well, I'm not going to argue with that because memory's really expensive, and if I'm wrong, and but yeah, Chris is saying LTT did a video on it with Electro Boom. That sounds like a fun name for a thing. I don't know what Electro Boom is, but it does sound exciting. Right, what do we got? We've got a FSP, Power Never Ends, containing a set of stickers and a note saying, please read before use, because apparently the stickers are, you can't even read that, there we go, that's sort of in. The stickers are not covered by the warranty, so apparently if there's a problem with my stickers, I can't send the stickers back. Whatever am I to do? Alright. Instructions. It says electricity goes in the back and comes out the front. Alright, I think we can figure that out. And wow. So we got a cloth baggie full of yeah, wire, big chunky cables. All right, cool. Oh look, and a UK style IEC Type 7 power supply, which gosh, I don't have any of those. I guess they got to include one. This might be the first electrical thing you've ever bought. So okay, there's all that, there's all that, there's all that. That's interesting. I don't know what this is. It is a, oh, okay, cool. This looks like a little kind of like a blanking thing that you can plug in if you've got a plug that you don't want to plug the plug into. Velcro. All right, cage bolts. Ooh. All right, right. So I've built, this is, I guess, maybe the 10th computer that I've built over a long and illustrious career of, because, you know, there's upgrades and there's tweaks, and then there's the point when you decide you're going to build a new one, and for me that's normally when you get a new case. Because if you don't have a new case, then it's not really a new computer, it's just an old computer with extra bits and upgrades and all that kind of stuff. And this is definitely a new computer. You can tell it's a new computer because the old computer is still 100% working. And because I'm talking to you right now, because I'm actually streaming the build of the new computer on the old computer. The case is what delineates between ships of Theseus. Yes, I would argue that if Theseus had ever laid a new keel, then that would have been it. That would have been the end of that ship and new ship. Do not spill tea in new power supply. That would be bad. All right, so this thing goes in that thing. Now, this is the part where in about 3 hours, I'm going to know exactly what has to go into every single one of those chunky sockets on there. You can see all those, right? But I don't know that yet, because I haven't got the rest of the bits yet. And so the question is, do I do the physical build first, like get everything physically plugged in or physically bolted in and screwed in where it's all going to go, and then plug them all together? Or do I do the logical build first and get everything electrically connected and boot without the case being involved, other than, you know, to toggle the power, and then we figure the rest out from there? I'm gonna put the power supply in. Logical build first, easier to reconfigure. Yeah. I think you may be right. At the very least, that'll let me get the thing booting and figure out what needs to go where. And yeah. Let's build a computer with no... Let's build a brain with no skull, and it'll just sit there on the desk going all like brainy. All right, so that's off. That case is huge. It's like, it's bigger than a medium-sized... Have you seen an XKCD? About the global, like the internet, the sort of standard for whether something is big or small or loud or quiet is a sewing machine. Because anything that is louder than a sewing machine is loud to human beings, and anything bigger than a sewing machine is big. And yeah, this is definitely, I'm going here for bigger and quieter than a sewing machine. That's where we want to put it on the quadrant. Right, let me get some boxes and plug them in and see what we can do. Right. So there's definitely an entire element to this thing, which was, yeah, in theory all these parts will work together, but you won't really know until you plug them all in and see what happens. So let's plug some things in and see what happens. All right, so starting with the least likely to fail because it's basically mechanical, what do we got? Accessories. Look at that, the heatsink and the CPU cooler comes with its own accessories. And... hello, Jay. Look at this, we're building big Lego. Big, complicated, expensive Lego that when you've finished it will edit videos. Which is kind of cool. If you've got videos to edit, it's kind of cool. Yes, the hope is that this thing will run Adobe After Effects fast enough that I will be able to do the post-production on my training videos without wanting to go and drink quite a lot of gin afterwards. Right. Okay. That's you see that? You see that? See that? Look at it. Oh, so shiny. Thermally optimized for the maximum transfer of hotness. Right. Welcome to the stream. In today's episode, internationally renowned software development expert and qualified scientist Dylan Beattie will struggle with a cardboard box. There we go. There is always something wonderfully fractal about CPU coolers. It's the whole, like, how much surface area can we pack into a given volume, like a given sort of, volume of space, because surface area is how the heat gets out. Right, let me bring this down a little bit. Okay. Does anyone need a lot of cardboard, like just a huge quantity of cardboard? Because I am going to have an awful lot of cardboard left over when this thing is done. The application of space-filling curves, absolutely right. Although the sort of beautiful irony about all this is that the case is actually built by a company called Fractal, and the CPU cooler is not. It is built by a company called Noctua, which is a different thing. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to change the film speed on my camera here. Is that, no, that's too bright. No. Let's go with a 100. Yeah, there we go. That's nice because I got a window open and there's sunlight. And I don't normally have sunlight when I'm on a stream because you can't control the sun, and it gets brighter and darker, and then it messes everything up. But yeah. Okay. Thermal paste. And bits and stuff and things and... Alright. Thank you very much for choosing the Noctua NH-D15S Chromax Black. Yeah. Right. Okay, so we got a one of those with a one of those. Okay, let's get the very, very complicated electrical pieces over here temporarily out of the way. That we will come back to later. GeForce! Does anyone remember Battle of the Planets? Like the whole, like one of those I'm pretty sure, was it one of the ones that was written, because there were a bunch of like anime that they then dubbed into English and completely changed the story and the characters, and just they sort of took the animation footage and you know, modded it into something they could show on British kids TV. And I can't remember whether Battle of the Planets was one of those, or whether it was actually stuck to the original storyline. But it was on kids TV in the UK in the 80s. Would occasionally catch it when I was here on holiday, because I did not grow up here. All right, we got a motherboard. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. The quick start guide. That one goes there. That one goes there. Put that in there. Electricity, CPU, memory, bang, dosh, HDMI. Boom, boom, boom. Sweet. Done. Right. Magic. I'm glad we cleared that up. Those are SATA cables in case you have a hard drive from the 1920s. Those are... ooh. I don't know. Look at that. I'm more stickers. Cool. All right. So those go over there. That goes over there. And now the detail here that I absolutely want to get properly right is the last time I built a computer, it had like an M.2 yeah, Dean says Battle of the Planets was one of those. They added a character to replace the scenes that were too violent. That's good, yeah. It's like we got all this footage and we need to make money out of it, so let's completely change the plot, add a new character, tweak a bunch of things. The great example of this was the Magic Roundabout, which was I can't remember the actor's name, but it's Emma Thompson's father, I believe, absolutely assured the BBC that he spoke fluent French and could listen to the originals and translate the stories and everything. And he was not, in fact, capable of understanding French. He was just making up the plot. So, just scrolling back through the chat here. So my camera does not take film, but it is a digital SLR hooked up via HDMI, and so it does have a nominal setting which simulates the effect of different film speed, because you know, back in the day a faster film worked better in lower light conditions than a slower film, but the slowest film this will go down to is ISO 100, and in direct sunlight with this aperture on it. What I can do, you want to see how this works? Look, I can show you. If I put that over there, and I put that over there, and I close that, and 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 close a whole bunch of things somewhere under here. There is a Windows desktop somewhere. There we go. And that, and that. And so if I switch to that one, oh, hang on, that needs to come back. There we go. We move that down there, and the mic switcher is on. So yeah, this is the Canon EOS control software. So if I change the aperture from like a f2 to a f5, you see everything gets a lot darker, but also the kind of the bokeh fuzz on the background. What about we go with a 4 point? That's kind of maybe a little bit 3.5. Yeah, there we go. And the white balance is completely shot because I've got natural sunlight. So if I click that one and I go for that one, there we go. Look at that. I've got a very, very specific set of settings for this camera for recording training videos, which you want to be consistent from one day to the next. And so for those ones, close all the curtains. I've got blackout blinds on all the windows. I've got Elgato lights, which I dial in. And so SRG Learn Code doesn't like how much branding there is in computer parts these days. Really? You don't want to get a, like, you're tough gaming. Look at that. It's I get it. It's I always thought it's funny how so much because basically, like, really high-end video production, content creation, media, and gaming, they kind of require the same hardware. And so you can get one which is like the NVIDIA Quadro Professional, very boring thing, and then you can get the exact same thing, but it's called something like a X100 Frame Crusher Pro Decimator. And you think like they should apply this to other things. Like if they wanted to sell a toaster to, like, computer gaming enthusiasts, they'd have to call it something like the Burnomatic 2000 Bread Blazer, and then everyone, I want that one. I want the toaster with the adjustable RGB lights and the Bluetooth and all the everything. Jay says, I was hoping you could offer some advice, please. Been working as a dev for 10 years. Our company is really pushing AI. It's essentially AI won't take your job, but someone who can use AI will. You should learn AI because it's important and it's not all going away. I think quite a lot of it is going away, but it is it's a disruptive influence on our entire industry, and therefore if you want to remain relevant, you unfortunately need to learn what it can and can't do and familiarize yourself with the things that it can actually be good at. I mean, I don't like it very much. I'm very, very skeptical of a lot of the claims that are being made. Someone says AI will replace developers. It's like, no, it won't. That's ridiculous. Have you seen what it does? And the existential crisis I think the industry is heading for is that to get value out of using AI tools like, Claude and Copilot and that kind of stuff, you need to know what you're looking at. And which means that you need to so at the moment everyone's got to get on board the AI hype train because they're terrified if they don't, they're going to lose all their money. But probably they're going to lose all their money anyway because they're wasting it all on AI, which is a massively over-engineered solution in search of a problem. And there are things that it does better than humans. I use it once in a while. I got so Surly, do you remember when no-code tools were going to allow non-developers to build systems? Yes, I do. I remember when fourth-generation languages were going to mean we didn't need developers because business people could just write the programs themselves. I'm not old enough to remember when COBOL was invented, but I know my history, and yeah, absolutely, COBOL will let you write programs in English, so you don't need to hire developers anymore. At the moment, there's a lot of hype. It's unfortunate, really unfortunate, that the sudden kind of ChatGPT and AI language models going mainstream coincided with just, I'm going to summarize, a massive shitstorm of almost everything that is happening on this planet. Because somebody's like the other day, it's hard to sort of do budget forecasts for next year, and I'm like, is that because of AI, or because of redundancies, or because of interest rates, or because of energy costs, or because of the war, or because of the governments, or because of... And it's like, yeah. Yes, AI is very, very good at spitting out, sometimes, very good at spitting out code in response to a very, very specific specification. People can't write those. A specification that tells a computer what you want it to do is written in C, and it is called a program, or C# or Java or JavaScript or whatever you're using. And even then, we still get bitten by the ambiguities and the edge cases and that kind of thing. But I think it's... I don't know. My hunch is that another year or so, and we are going to see less hype about AI. We're going to see the first There is a bubble, and the bubble doesn't mean everything's going to get wiped out with it. Just like when the dot-com bubble burst, it didn't destroy the internet, but there are a lot of companies out there that have valuations way in excess of any amount of money they are ever going to make off selling what they do to people who actually have to pay for it. The yardstick I have is that when stuff works, we stop calling it AI. Like diagnostic imaging in medicine, that used to be, oh, AI can do this, and we don't call that AI anymore, because if you went to a hospital and they took an x-ray of your lungs and said, we're going to put it to AI, you'd be like, no, you're not, I'd like a doctor to look at it, please. So they use diagnostic imaging algorithms on it that go, that might be a tumor, that's probably fine, that kind of thing. And that's, machine learning. And before that we had AI, but then AI was like, actually, we're going to call this neural networks. And before that we had AI, but then we went, actually, no, it's not AI, we're going to call these expert systems. And before that we had AI, and we were 3 years away from general AI in 1968, and then they went, no, well, the bits that work, we're going to call that functional programming, and symbolic algebra, and S expressions, and the rest of it, AI doesn't work. So it is scary as hell right now, but I do not think that AI is the end of development as we know it. I think give it maybe another year, and the tools out there will have kind of, converged on a point where most people know what they're actually useful for. The other thing I think is going to happen is at some point companies like Copilot or Claude, they are going to point out how much it actually costs to offer those tools. And a lot of companies are going to be, you want us to spend how much per developer per month on tokens? And hello Jake, welcome to the stream. Anyway, I'm building a computer now, and it's not for AI. I'm building a computer for doing video editing and writing code. It will run Copilot, of course it will, but that runs in the clouds. So, right, what do we got? We've got the Asus Tough Gaming. Look, it's tough. See that? Tough. Jay says, all very good points. I hope companies respect staff enough to not chuck dev needlessly. Companies don't respect you. Every company I've ever worked at there were great people there, and there were periods of time when everything was going well, and it was all great and friendly and respectful, and we were hiring. But fundamentally, every company in the world will burn itself to the ground by firing people rather than turn around and go, we paid everybody instead of making money for our shareholders. But hey, I'm very cynical when it comes to permanent employment. That's why I'm an independent consultant, and that's why you're all watching this at work and I'm at my house building new computers on Twitch. Right, what do we got? We've got, yep. I'm gonna need to put on some kind of, where are my glasses? Okay. Small print. Right. Now this is gonna be interesting. I am gonna need my glasses. I can't read the small print on this motherboard. I'll be back in 1 minute. This is part of your weekly 4 hours of PD as professional development time? Excellent. Let's professionally develop you. Right, what do we got? We've got a that's a PCI Express 16. Let me bring we got is that good? Let me bring that down just a little more. There we go. Look at that, the technology. Okay, so that's a PCI Express G4, that's a G5. 5 is better than 4, right? Because that's just how the entire concept of things works. Okay. CPU, yep. Motherboard, memory, yep. M.2, okay, so this will be fun. Because I got a couple of M2s kicking around, but I have a feeling this one is going to cause us some amusement. because it's in a caddy at the moment, but this one's an M2 with its own heatsink kind of bolted onto it. And this thing comes with heatsinks on the board, so I don't think that's going to work. Okay. So the whole fun and games part of plugging bits into a new motherboard for me is always that there's a bunch of things which are physically compatible, like that thing will go into that socket, but they are not electrically in the right place to put them. And so, like, I could put this together completely wrong with things in the wrong place, and the thing is, it'll probably work and it'll probably boot, but it won't be running as fast as it's supposed to. Alright, so, yes, chassis fans, power supply, okay. I love the way the bit here in the docs where it says install the graphics card. You can't read that, can you? No, that's not coming back. Yay. There we go. It just says install the graphics card, and it shows you a picture of them putting in a graphics card. Right. But that is step 8. Alright, so graphics card's there. Memory, CPU, alright, we're good. And I'm gonna take off a couple of these heat sinks on here because I want to see what's going on underneath them, which means background noises of Dylan scrabbling through a toolbox in search of the right kind of screwdriver. Nope, not that one, that's way too big. Not that one. Not that, that looks good, there we go. Nope. Huh. Huh. All right, none of the above. There we go. All right. And probably that one will do for now. Dean says there's a high-pitched tone coming through. That's probably the fan. Right. Okay, so we got an M2 sockets there, under there, no idea what that is. And this thing just says it's an AMD X870, so I'm sure it must be one of those then. Yep, this motherboard comes with 3 pages of actual instructions and 15 pages of how not to electrocute yourself in every single major European language. Okay, it's making sense. So, right, there's a stack of M2s on that. I'm gonna pop this off, take a look, see what's underneath. Yep. Yep. Don't drop that, that would be bad. Cool, all right. So we got M.2 hard drive sockets 1, 2, 3, 4, which is good because editing video means A, you want a lot of really, really fast disk, and B, you don't want it all on the same disk. So I'm going to have one of these for the operating system, one of these for the footage, one of these for the project, and another one for the Adobe Media Cache, so it's got somewhere to stash all of its own stuff. And the question is, which one is which, and how fast are they all? So that is a PCI 5.0 times 4, PCI 5.0 times 4, PCI 4.0, PCI 4.0. So it looks like those two are the stupidly fast ones, and these two are merely ridiculously fast. Okay. Okay. So SRG says, oh, so if you use the bottom PCI, you can't use the bottom M2. So there is something about the logical configuration of this motherboard that there's some, like, one of the channels on it is shared between the USB version 4 or the PCI version 4. I did not entirely understand every single detail of it, and none of it's relevant to anything I want to do immediately, but it has a whole sort of, this is something you want to think about in terms of adding peripherals and stuff later. I'm just going to switch the fan off. Give me a second. I mean, what I could have done is go into OBS and fire up like a parametric EQ and find the exact frequency of the fan and scoop it out. But it's probably easier just not to do that. Now all you get is me talking and the traffic noise on the streets of southeast London. Right, let's plug some stuff in. So we've got a... Okay, so NVMe SSDs apparently come in single and double-sided now. And let's see what this one is, because it'll be single or double-sided. That would appear to be single-sided. All right, so that one goes in there, but this did come with a couple of little high-tech solution. Little rubber grommets that you put in if you're putting in a single-sided NVMe. What do you call it? I mean, technically they're hard drives, but they're not drives, and they're not hard. They're completely solid state, and they're just chips. But they're not really. That was that one, isn't it? They're not really memory chips either. Okay, so how do these little... All right. So NVMEs normally have a little kind of screw fixing that holds them in and clips them into place and everything, and it is not immediately apparent how these fixtures on here work. Let's take a look. There we go. That's what we're looking at. That's the excellent quality documentation. Yeah, it looks like it's got that thing of it's not immediately apparent whether it's some kind of quick fix latch or whether it's a like protection in transit that you're supposed to remove. I guess one way to find out is, let's seat that home, and all right. Look at that. There we go. See, building computers is easy. Right. So that should be the, that's on the first, which socket number is that? Okay, and then if I pull, okay, oh, you could totally catapult stuff off that. You see that? You push it down and it snaps in, and then, doing. All right. So that is M.2 which I'm guessing means that is the sort of biggest, fastest, most directly connected to all of the other important bits. So that one's on there. Drop that back in on there. Screw that back in. Okay, that'll be what the old people would call your C drive. The AMD Ryzen 9 19950X3D, which must be good because it's got a lot of letters in its name. 16 cores, 32 threads, 144 megabytes of cache. It kind of bakes my noodle, like 144 megabytes of cache. The first computer I ever had 1 megabyte of memory and 40 megabytes of hard drive, like total. Like that entire 286 PC would fit 3 times into this thing just in terms of storage capacity. I guess that's what they call progress, right? PBC 147s, I was just going to say it's more expensive Lego, but haven't seen the price of Lego lately. It's just cheaper Lego. Yeah, the value of computer hardware in my house and the value of Lego in my house is probably comparable, but the Lego certainly holds its resale value better. So what do young people call it? I don't know. I mean, young people just apparently they don't know that file systems exist because they've grown up on digital devices like, you know, iOS and Android, where you don't really have files and folders. Like if you want to play music, it's in the music player, and if you want to send an email, it's in the email player, and if you want to, you know, play a game, it's in the game, and so, right, let's pop that up there. Putting this bit in always reminds me of those bits in Star Trek where Geordi's poking around inside Data's brain. Now, this should be... Ah, look at that. Right. And now we pop that off. There we go. Push that down. Clamp that in. Now, if we switch it on now, it'll go very, very fast for about 10 seconds, and then it'll catch fire. So let's not do that. Right. How do we reckon this thing fits on there? Because that's a... So the answer to the question is after the RAM. That goes on after the memory, because you can't get to the RAM slots. Kieran says, I'm 21 and I still call it the C drive. Yeah, it's going to be all right. Yeah. 07 Rain says, shouldn't you be more worried about static electricity? I have my electrical earth here, which I am tapping in between picking up components and things. Apparently it's not a problem anymore because someone did a video on YouTube where they tried to make memory blow up using static electricity, and the memory did not in fact blow up. All right. Corsair Vengeance. DDR5, because when you're putting memory in a computer, what you want to think about is vengeance. I want a line of computers which is all like a Dandelion, the Corsair Spring Meadow, 64 gigabytes of DDR5 memory that reminds you of a lovely day in the mountains in the springtime. Right. If this computer doesn't work, by the way, it'll be because the RAM sticks on it are basically pushing the absolute limit of what is theoretically supposed to work. Oh, how does this thing... Oh, there we go. Okay, it opens that way. All right. So, ding, 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 ding. Nope. And only one end latches. All right, so it's got to go in the other way around. So... It is astonishing how much of this is just like seeing, does that look like it's going to go that way around? Do I need to push it a little bit harder? Is it fine? Is it not fine? Is it lined up? Is it not lined up? Is there a latch here that I should have figured out? Okay, so those don't bend. Those are just molded in place, which means in theory that should only go in one way round. And that, yeah, there we go. That's it. And then that snaps in. Okay, so that's one. Two. Click. All right, we're good. Animal Crossing themed PC, yeah. Yeah, good, fine. Getting thwarted by packaging. All right. Memory chips in. Hard drive and then whatever that thing in, like big keepy filey on fasty pointy electric box thing in. CPU in. We'll come back to those heat sinks. I'm going to start putting packaging over there that no longer has bits of electric stuff in it. Right. That can come off. Oh, look at that. Yes, 128 gigs of RAM. So my I spend a lot of time simultaneously running Visual Studio, building projects in .NET, recording the whole thing in double wide high definition using OBS, and then editing and compositing that footage in After Effects. And Eli says, how much of the packaging do you typically keep after building the PC? I keep everything for like a month until I'm confident that it's all burned in and I'm not going to need to send anything back. Then after that, I used to just keep the cardboard box that the case came in, because that meant I could pack the computer. This is when I was going backwards and forwards to university every couple of months. These days, I live in London, like real estate here costs more than just buying a new cardboard box if you need a cardboard box, you know? At a certain point, the cost of storage is just not worth it. All right, let's figure out how we get this thing to go on that thing. So this is the CPU cooler, which is basically the closest we're ever going to come to sort of, you know, fractal weirdness from the dungeon dimensions. And somewhere there is, right over here, there's a whole box of gubbins, Intel parts, AMD parts. All right. Look, instruction manual. Signed by Roland Mossig, the CEO of Noctua. Isn't that nice? Good old Roland. Okay. Yes, right. Okay. All right, so this is interesting. So the motherboard comes with these things on it here, and this is the stock CPU cooler retention module, which I don't need, which is why it was not immediately obvious how the thing fits on. Dean says, have you considered doing the recording with a completely different machine? Yeah, I have. Now I do have a completely different machine because I've still got the old one and I've got the new one as well. Really, the RAM and everything is for editing, because editing is really like CPU, graphics, storage, memory intensive, all the things. And it's the part of the whole workflow where the temptation to be like, sod it, that's good enough. Not because it would be difficult to make it better, but because it would just be incredibly time consuming to do the edit to make it better. And I don't like doing that every single day for a month. Right. Okay, so that's out of the way, which means now we got this box here, which says it's the AMD parts. And according to that in here, there should be, yeah, there we go, 2 mounting bars. The sheer level of mechanical engineering, I mean, this is like a, seriously heavy piece of kit. So yeah, the job of it not falling off is surprisingly intensive. Right. So the instructions are on AM5 and Ryzen. I think this is an AM5. I lose track of what they actually mean with all the is AMD 5 the same as a, right, yeah, I guess it must be, even though it doesn't have a 5 in it anywhere. Okay, so instructions, which of course you can't see because the sunlight is too intense. Maybe if I do that and angle that back, no, yeah, never mind. Choose the -7mm offset hole position. So what I'm trying to figure out at this exact moment in the proceeding is that's the thing, and then we got one of these and one of these, and that's north and that's south. And I didn't know CPUs had a north and a south, but I guess they do. And that needs to fit on according to that little diagram there. Yeah, all right. just tweak one detail here. There we go. Cool. All right. Yeah, it doesn't care. There we go. Look at that. Automatic exposure compensation. So yeah, I got to do that. Maximum torque 0.6 Newton meters. Gosh. Right. Okay, so that one's on there. That's on there. That's easy because they can only go one place. That's on there. That's on there. That's easy. They can only go in one place. And yeah, I'm guessing that this CPU is what they call the AM5, so that needs to go like so. And alright, yeah, that makes sense. So 7mm offset holes, those through there, drop that through there. That goes in there. Check those threads will bite. Yep, that feels pretty good. Maximum torque, 0.6 Newton meters. That feels like about 0.6 Newton. I don't know. And then the other side, same deal. So there's that one, that way up, minus 7 mils. Oh, okay, I see, all right. Yeah, so this will install in one of two positions, and it moves these pins 7mm that way or that way. And I guess the worst case scenario, if it's wrong, is that the thermal contact on the CPU is out of whack by 7 mils. All right, that feels pretty good. And then I guess that goes on there. Right, let me back the camera off a little, because so I think what you got to do is, there we go. Fan comes off, and now you can see straight down the middle of the thing. And is that? Yes. And that lines up with that. Time for the devil's heat glue. This will be where somebody pops up in the chat and says that I'm applying it wrong or some such thing. All right, well, I probably don't want that fingerprint on there. I should get rid of that. I did have some alcohol wipes here somewhere, and I have no idea where they've gone. I'll be right back. I mean, I'm on a wireless microphone, so you can still hear me. There we go. Super shiny. All right. Do not ingest. Keep away from children and pets. Avoid skin or eye contact. All right, how gloopy is this stuff gonna be? Let's... Yep, all right, we good, we good, we good. It's just squeezy. Gloopy. Why did you decide against liquid cooling, says 07 Rain? Because I'm old-fashioned enough to think that a computer that can leak water if it goes wrong is not a good idea. Right. Is that symmetrical now? Yeah, I guess. All right. Squish it around, get the paste spread on that nicely, and then those should screw onto there. And this will be the bit where all right, that thread's caught. Let's see if we can get that one to bite. Nope. Okay, cool. Now I really do need a proper screwdriver. And I have one, and it's here somewhere, and I know it's here somewhere, and it is not that one, but... And it's not that one. That one might do it. Yes. All right. Is it possible that the chat view has crashed? Let me see if the chat view has crashed. Okay. Hit that. Refresh. There we go. Are we back? Yes, it stopped for a little while. I refreshed it and the chat came back. All right. Okay, so this goes on the CPU fan header, which is there. And just sort of munges in here somewhere, I guess. Yeah, that looks happy. Right. I can see a YouTube chat, Ramblin' Geek. One to Mac says off by 7 millimeters. Ramblin' Geek says check the fan direction. Off by 7 millimeters? No, don't think so. And the fan direction, I don't think matters. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking fan wants to go that way so that it's not blowing the hot air from the CPU cooler directly onto the RAM, because the RAM is going to be more prone to, yeah, I should check the fan direction, shouldn't I? Yeah, of course I'm going to check the fan direction. Wow, imagine not checking the fan direction. Which way is the fan going to go? So the fan has a direction indicator on it, which is here. It's going to go that way. So that way, yeah, okay, so yeah, that's it. We're good, we're good, we're good. All right. I'm going to play so much Candy Crush on this thing. It'll be unbelievable. All right, where are we at? Graphics card. Because why not? So as Enigma says, fan direction matters. Yeah, I'm going to go with pull air in through the front, across the chips, past the CPU, and vent it out the back next to the I/O ports, I think is the best way of configuring it. And I have enough fans and enough choices about where to put them. Look at that. It's got gold writing on it. ASUS. In search of incredible. It's such lovely packaging, and it seems such a shame that it's going to be a pain in the ass until I find somewhere to put it all, and then it's going 5070. 5070, 5060? 5070. Where's the... Yeah, it's a 5070. It's that one. That one. That one? That one. That one. That one. There we go. Yeah, it was a 5060 with 16 gigs or a 5070 with 12 gigs. And the couple of things I saw online suggested that for Adobe After Effects, which I use a lot, you wanted more horsepower and RAM wasn't such a big deal. That is an absolute beast of a thing. Wow. Yeah, that. Crikey. All right. Will it fit in my case? Yes, the case is bigger than a horse. The case is a Fractal Define 7 XL, and it is the biggest computer case I have ever seen in my life. Am I going the Microsoft route? Do you mean in terms of an operating system? Yes. Yes, I will be putting Windows 11 on here because the Wi-Fi chips on here are sufficiently new and shiny that no other, well, Windows 10 doesn't have drivers for them, and I cannot do some of what I need to do for a job on Linux, because Linux video editing is still not everything it could be. Wow. That is... Okay, I see. So yeah, that's on there. Yeah, so when this goes, there is definitely scope for another brace across the top of it. Cool, all right, that fits. What I'm going to do now is, yes, I'm going to run it before I put it in the case, but I'm also going to take the GPU off now that I know that it fits. Yeah, man. Because when I first boot the thing, I'm going to boot it using just the onboard graphics. There we go. All right. Okay, so we've got storage, we got memory, we got a CPU, we got a CPU cooler and fan. That's all hooked up. I guess it's time to wire up the power supply, switch this thing on, see if it does anything. Right? That'd be fun. And when it doesn't, you can all watch me on stream trying to work out which part doesn't work and configure a RMA request for the manufacturer. Right, where is a... that'll do. It's the part where you're not quite sure how much of this packaging is garbage and how much you might need in a minute and all of those kinds of things. What that's a... There's a piece of cable here that claims to be a low noise adapter, and quite how you can get low noise out of a cable. Oh, look at that, it came with its own screwdriver. Yeah, I should have checked that. Never mind, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine, everything's fine, we're all fine here. How are you? Right, don't need that heatsink because we've not got those M2s hooked up. That and all of the rest of this packaging can go to one side for a second or a minute or a however long. All right, so okay, question, is there a power switch on the motherboard anywhere? Yes, there is. Was? Could be. Because if not, you got to hotwire it by banging the pins together, which I have done before, but I'm keen not to do that on a completely brand new system with this much stuff on it. All right. Ah, the low noise adapter reduces the rotation speed of the fan. Thank you, Enigma 9400. Right, okay. So those are all drives, peripherals, etc. Which means this one here. That's magnetic, that's why it's trying to come along for the ride. Yeah, cool, put a big magnet in the box with my new computer, why don't you? That can't go badly at all. Okay. Right, let's work this backwards. So we got two sets of 12-volt CPU connectors. Which I'm guessing, yeah, okay. So this is the logical build. This is getting all the right things in all the right sockets and seeing if the thing switches on. And that needs to go the other way around because of the design of the latches. I knew that. Right. CPU into there. Bloop. Come on, come on, come on, come on, you can do it. All right. That one onto there. All right. And then somewhere here, that's the motherboard connector. Yep. Right. Cable routing on this thing is going to be such fun. Okay. Right, that's all. Let's back that up just a little more. Okay. All right, so power supply check. Motherboard, yep, that's good. I'm going to spin that around, get that out the way, get that out the way. Okay. Right, this is right now at the exact point of, is there a way of switching this thing on without having to plug it into the case? audio, chassis fan, no, USB, water pump. There's a switch here labeled cleric, but I don't think that's what we need. All right. Yep. Yep. Weird. I mean, I guess I could just power it up and see what I like, switch on the power supply and see what happens. Let's do that. Keyboard. Very important. I'm gonna need a longer wire. Let's have a look in the box of USB cables, and maybe there's one in here which is long enough to be useful and not the wrong kind of connector. Universal, hey? Universal serial bus. What a nice idea that was. Nope, 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 nope. Maybe. Yes. Yep. Oh yes, I need to take the box off the foil. The anti-static bag dissipates static by conducting electricity. So I don't want it sitting on that when we power it up for the first time. All right, now the fun part is I'm going to take this thing here, because this is connected to my cheap and dirty HDMI to USB capture device that I bought on Amazon, which is here. So when I switch across to that one, in theory, you'll all be able to see this thing boot up for the first time. If it boots. Which it might. If we're lucky. Or it might not. Right, there's HDMI. That's in. Let me switch that across. All right. Which USB do I want to plug the keyboard into? 10G, 5G, 1G, BIOS USB 2.0? That one will do. It's only a keyboard, it can't be that big a deal, right? Right, that's on cable, that's on Windows, that's on. That's powered up. Lithium says the fact that chat is scrolling down and in-stream chat is the opposite way is kind of counterintuitive. So the chat that appears inside the video stream is the Restream chat plugin, which I don't think I can get it to go in the other direction. No. It's an embedded web component, so things get appended to a web page DOM. And, all right. So, there we go. That's the HDMI cam. Let's see what happens. Making absolutely sure this is not set to 110 volts. Because if you plug 110 volts into England, it goes wrong. All right. The moment of truth. Yeah, it doesn't automatically power on. Right. Let's figure out how to hotwire the thing. Right, turn that off. Switch that back to the bench cam so you all can see what I can see. And we are going to need a pin out diagram for the front panel, which is in, all right, there we go. I'm going to bring this blind down because it's getting super hot and sunny in here. There we go. Do some modern PC, this one does not, 07 Rain, does not have the 110, 220 volt switch. But I have fried at least one computer for real by doing that, so I'm always a kind of little bit wary of making sure I've got that right. Okay. I want the Make It Go button. Or rather, I want to know where the Make It Go button is. All right. All right, front panel system header. Yep, that's good. It's there. That's what we got. Bottom right, page 29 in the manual. It's page 6 in the manual. And the power switch is the two top pins beside the one that's missing. So in theory, if I short circuit those two pins there, it should wake up. All right. Fans are spinning. CPU fans moving. Question is, will my crappy little HDMI cam thing be enough to get it to boot or not? It's alive, I tell you what, alive! Right, let's try the, I'm gonna yoink out this little USB thing, because I think that might be dead. Hook that back in, see if we get anything useful out of it. Deactivate that, activate that. Yeah. Yeah, it's AMD 128 gigs. I'm just not getting anything at all come through. And I've crashed the camera, look at that. Let me restart that one there. Right. So first thing I'm going to do is fix the stream. Give me a second. I'm going to power cycle this camera. And the capture card that it is running into, which is probably overheated, because they do that sometimes. Yeah, all right. Yeah, audio's on. Audio's on a separate channel for this thing. Look at that. You see that? You see that? You see that? There we go. You can't see me, but you can see that, and that's what's important. You know what I look like. Let me get my camera working on here. All right, we're gonna let that do its thing while I try to figure out what's suddenly happened. Maybe there's just like a sort of, you know, like a limit on how many things can work at any given time. And the new computer has just exceeded that limit. Yeah, it went dark for a second there to folks on the YouTube stream. Right, let's see. Do I have press yes to reset? So I think I pressed yes there. That should be good. That's on. That's on. That's on. Keyboarding be hard, yo. Right. Yep. All right, we got that far. Okay, so what we get into now is the... I don't own a PS2 keyboard, Rene. We get into the fun and games part where I don't honestly know whether the problem here is the HDMI capture that I'm using or what. So I'm going to power cycle the thing again. Shut it down. Okay, that's good. So shut it down, it goes dark straight away. That's a good sign. And now do that, and then do the hot wire thing again. Power it up, see how long it takes to wake up and realize that it's got work to do. Did I update the BIOS first? No, this is like literally the first time this set of components has ever booted. Ever. All right. Oh, there we go. So I'm pressing Y, and it's going, nah. Am I going to enable BitLocker? Probably not. Given this is a workstation that is unlikely to leave my house. So, right. This is like so close to working, and I don't honestly know whether the problem is that it just doesn't like this keyboard or what. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. That's off. That's on. That's on. Cable's on. Keyboard's live. Yeah, let's try another USB. That might be the headache. I mean, the LEDs on the keyboard are up, so I know the keyboard is connected. That's alright. I'll try another keyboard, try another socket, give it a couple of minutes, see what happens. Keychrons don't like BIOS. That could well be the root of the problem here. Let me see what else I got kicking around here. I don't have any like really like dumber than a bag of rocks type keyboards, I don't think. Right. Unplug the Keychron. Let me switch back to the bench cam for a second. And I'm just going to see if I can get the stream camera working again as well, because I think what's probably happened here is that the cam link for it is just overheated. Sunlight everywhere, right. Yeah. Let me just, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ah. Interesting. All right. It's a very good reason you can't see me. Reason you couldn't see me is I accidentally unplugged the camera because I'm stupid. Right, let's fix that. So I need to find the thing which has the actual camera in it and tell that one to be the, there we go. And you look at that, we're back, and goodness, that's bright. All right, so there is the bench cam. That's good. Back to that. Take off studio mode. Ooh, so much sunlight. Right. Let's go through my stash of keyboards and see if I've got one that's old-fashioned enough that a... You don't think this is nuts? Like, this is the AMD Ryzen 9950 with 128 gigs of something called 6000 MTS RAM, which is so new I had to look up what it stood for, and I can't get it to boot without digging out a really, really old keyboard from somewhere. So, but that's all right. I probably have a really old keyboard somewhere. Yeah. Let's just... Queen of Darts is absolutely right. There is a Stone Age keyboard downstairs by the dining table that I think she left there, which is probably what is going to save the day in this particular scenario. I'll be back in 1 second. this cannot possibly be the day that it turns out I no longer have any dead old-fashioned USB, completely boring vanilla keyboards. Right, let's see what I've got in my pile of interesting dead bits of hardware. This one might work. Because it was really, really cheap. Right. Okay. HDMI cam. Let's move that out of the way. Right. No is the answer to that. Okay, so let's see what else we can possibly plug this into. That one there. Yeah. 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 Still not working. But this is another really weird, bizarre, cheapo, bought it on Amazon mechanical keyboard. I think, what else do I have here that could potentially do the trick? I'm going to try power cycling it again with this keyboard in. It's fine, it'll work, we'll get it going eventually. Yes, I do have a wireless keyboard with a 2.4G dongle around here somewhere. I just would need to figure out where it is. Okay, and boop. That's not BitLocker. Okay, so the reason, yeah, so the back panel here, if I flip over to the other camera, I'll show you what we've actually got going on the back here. So there's the bench cam. And if I pop this off, and do I have enough lead on this? Woo, reality wobbles. Just don't want to pull everything in a catastrophic heap onto the floor and kill everybody. There we go. That almost stretches enough to show you the ports. Let me move that way a few inches. Right. So that's our lot, which it won't focus at that distance. But there's a bunch of, there's like some USB 4.0s, there's a 10 gig USB, 5 gig USB, 2.0 USB, 10 gig USB, a USB 2 display port. That might be worth a shot. And then a BIOS flash button, a bunch of audio, and the jacks for the take the upper left. Sometimes the lower ones are too slow for BIOS. So I'd assume that one there, the one with BIOS written next to it, is the, I don't know how well you can see that one coming through, but there's definitely a port with the word BIOS written next to it. All right, let's start systematically eliminating reasons why this might not work, starting with maybe the cable that I'm using to connect the keyboard is not good. That's upside down. Let me fix that. That should be that way around. There we go. All right, switch back to the HDMI cam. That's the BIOS update port for flashing the BIOS. Oh, yeah. I don't know what USB 4 is for. I've never had one before. Right, that cable might be crap because it probably came free with something that I got at a conference. So I'm going to not use that cable. I'm going to find a better quality cable. Will that one stretch enough? All right, let's try this. So that one can go from there to there. No. Ooh. Right. Ah, you can flash BIOS without a CPU. All right, today I learned. That's interesting. Not immediately helpful, but interesting. Right. Okay, this keyboard does not press yes. I know the back panel's hooked up because we've got HDMI and I can see stuff coming through. Let's try power cycling it again. Goodbye, and that's... Okay, that's interesting. If you power cycle it without shutting it down, when you switch it back on, it boots up automatically. It comes straight up. All right. Press yes to reset. 07 says take the real keyboard from your current computer. Yeah, that's not going to work because the real keyboard from my current computer is Bluetooth. Right. Let us systematically identify variables and eliminate them. So Rambling Geek, who I'm guessing is either some kind of knowledgeable wizard or has just looked this up online, a new CPU installed and your keyboard isn't working, it's likely due to an issue with FTPM setting in your BIOS, possibly after a CPU change. You can try disabling it in the BIOS, resetting the CMOS, or updating the BIOS to resolve the issue, or you can try a different keyboard. Okay, so let's see, I'm not sure I can even get into the BIOS right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this up to an actual physical display, just in case there might be some kind of, latency on the... Okay, that was interesting. I Control-Alt-Delete, and I got power cycle. It reset. Yeah, resetting the CMOS is just switching out the watch battery, which is literally right there, like we can see it. Okay, so that's cool. Let me see what happens if I press yes. I pressed Y and it worked. All right, so the Keychron with a good cable that didn't come free at a conference appears to be the secret to getting it to understand that there is a keyboard attached. All right. Oh, look, it's so shiny. Right. New CPU installed. Yep. All right. M.2 Samsung SSD 2 terabytes. Please enter setup to configure your system. Yep. Okay. It works. Right. Now what? That memory is too slow. Right. We're going to take a moment, just a little moment, just a little pause, because there is crap everywhere right now, and I'm going to clear some of it out of the way before I do the next part of this. So that can go back up there. That can come out of the way. That can go in there. That can go in there. probably don't need the toolbox right now, so that can go back under there. Mac the cat is going to have the best day of his life, because any day now he is going to get a delivery of many, many excellent cardboard boxes. Right. Why does it think it's it's from the future? It probably thinks it's tomorrow because it doesn't know what time it is, because I haven't set the clock, and it hasn't ever connected to the internet, so it can't pick up a time signal from one of the internet time servers, is probably why. Right, so now this is where there's a fun way of doing this and a right way of doing this, because the fun way of doing this is you just shove absolutely all the parts in, boot the whole thing up, stick it in Windows and see if it works. The correct way to do it is, now that it's on, I run a memtest 86 for 12 hours and make sure the thing is actually solid. Now what's interesting here is right, let me plug in a mouse. That would be a good idea. Do I own a mouse? Mousey, mousey, mouse, mouse, mouse. There we go. All right. All right. Will we get N is for NTP? Yeah, maybe actually. When I wrote the alphabetical history of software, so that I wrote that talk originally as a keynote. A company booked me to do it at one of their events, and N was for NFT, because I wanted to talk about how stupid NFTs were and how everybody invested in them was an idiot. But the world has kind of figured that part out on its own now. So yeah, N is for NTP might be a fun one, and the whole issue of synchronizing time across an unreliable network. Right, let me just bring that in there a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna move some things around on here. I'm going to make the chat. You are about to be shrunk ever so slightly. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. And then I'm gonna move. No, not that. I'm gonna move me over here and make me super tiny. There I am, look, hiding under the chat. Now I can see the entire screen, and I gotta remember now that one of these mice is that computer and the other one is this computer. Okay, so let's change the date and time, because that's obviously the most important thing to get right. It is the no, not that keyboard, that keyboard. This is going to get real difficult real quick. What time is it? 1816. Right. Now, these... okay, so Expo is their super clever, intelligent, clock all the things and make it all work and it should all be fine and everything. Yeah, that all looks alright. DDR5 6000 is indeed what we've got. Easy system tuning. Do I want normal or AI optimized? Normal, extra normal. Yeah. All right. Okay. Save and exit, I guess. Yes. I guess if this all goes horribly wrong and it doesn't boot again, we just try it again with something else, right? Surly is posting clips. Let's see what Surly's clips have to say. All right. So that's always the moment when you switch on the auto settings and then you turn it off and it doesn't come back. Let's try that again. Power down. Now, while power is down there, what I'm actually going to do is I am going to run the HDMI through to a proper dedicated card, because I think I'm running all this through the capture card at the moment, and I think the capture card has got a little bit of latency on it, which means it doesn't kind of wake up immediately when I switch the thing on. And so what I want to do is to Expo RAM training takes up to 2 minutes. Yeah, so I think the problem is that I've got no output there. RAM training is like completely dark, like it just doesn't do anything. So all right, let's try. We're going to fire it up and we're just going to leave it cooking. And while it's doing that, I'm going to find another monitor, because I own more than this, and we're going to plug that in and see if we can get that working. So I think if I pop that one out of there and then bounce. Okay, so there we go. That's cool. One of those. So I got a hardware HDMI splitter, and somewhere here a bunch of very, very short HDMI cables, because I'm minimalist. You know, elegant. Last thing I do is store a whole bunch of crap I don't need. Okay, so that's into there, and I'll ping that out. So you folks should get a capture off that one, and I should get a monitor feed off that one. You only keep the stuff that brings you joy. Everything brings me joy, that's the problem. I can look at a pile of old network cards and get really excited about welding them all together to make a kind of big robot sculpture or something. So, yeah. I know, I'm familiar with Marie Kondo. I read the Art of Tidying, and yeah, I have doubts about how effective any of it actually is. Right. I need another cable, yay! Cables, cables everywhere. Right. Right. Excellent. You see that? Ah. The system has posted. Post is power on self-test for people who don't remember that. The system has posted in, what's that purple line on there? That's the edge of the chat. That's the edge of the something. There's a weird purple fringe. Let's see if we can get rid of the weird purple fringe. No, I think it's just HDMI. All right. Right, press F1. Fire up the BIOS. Okay. That did not appear to work. So what I probably want to do here, this is the part where it's, yeah, running all of that memory flat out at full speed is probably going to take a little bit of tweaking to get all the settings right and get everything on and good and stable. And so what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to leave Expo disabled, and then I can run a bunch of tests and gradually crank the thing up to a point where it's actually going to work. Yep. Go with the default, get Windows installed, go from there. Sounds like a pretty good route to go with. Okay. Right. That means gonna need a Windows install. Yay! Do I have a memory QVL list as of today? Right, well, while that is sitting there slightly uncomfortably having a little think about its life choices, I am going to grab a Windows 11 install thing, and there you go. You folks can have the bench cam while this is going on, so you can see it sitting there and having a little think. Rufus, oh yes, absolutely Rufus. But I need to grab an ISO download first. What's the best version of Windows 11? It's got to be 24H2, right? Because it's got the highest number in it, because 24 is a high number. So So lithiums, I wouldn't build an AM5 system with 4 DIMMs as of today. So for a while, I know that was kind of accepted wisdom. The reason for going for it this time was that I had read that the 870 fixed the problem, and that it was now possible to run 4x32 on a motherboard at a decent speed and get reliable performance out of it. But that came with a little sprinkling of, you're going to have to try this because it'll probably work. Right, I want Windows 11 Business Editions because I do business. That's what this is. It's me doing business. You're watching business here. All right. I think the best Windows 11 version is actually probably Windows 7, but, you know, let's get the thing running and see what it does. Oh, okay, that's interesting. It just woke up again. So, question is... Yeah. Reset to defaults. Boom. Yeah. All right. See if that's stable. If that's not stable, what we do is we shut it down, we pop out 2 of the DIMMs, and we boot it up and try again, and gradually figure out whether what the problem is. So you'd think they'd have fixed this. I think every single computer that I've ever built has been through a protracted period of, oh no, that doesn't work. It's also possible I shouldn't have the motherboard sat here in direct sunlight. That's probably also not a good idea, right? Okay, let's save and exit that. See if that's gonna boot. Full HD setup, yes. Disabled, switch to enabled, yes please. Yeah. See, at this point, I honestly don't know if it's going straight into the BIOS. Yeah. Because it's old BIOS, or it's going straight into the BIOS because it doesn't have anything else to do, because it's got no operating system and no storage devices. Let's update the BIOS. All right, so screen cam. There we go. Let me check that's not looking at anything sensitive. All right, so Asus X870 Plus BIOS. Tough Gaming X870. That's mine, isn't it? It's got tough written on it in big letters. There we go. So I want that one. I want support. What's the QVL list, Lithium? Because the people I bought it from said it would probably work. And sells a matched kit, which is 4x32. Right, we want CPU memory support, no. Drivers and tools. Thank you, Renee. Okay. Before running the USB BIOS flashback tool, please rename the BIOS field using BIOS renamer. Alright, so let's stick that in. There we go. Right, so how do you flash the BIOS? That's the Japanese edition. Is this going to talk about updating the BIOS? There we go, updating the BIOS. Okay, to update the BIOS, insert a USB flash drive that contains the latest BIOS file. Enter the advanced mode of the BIOS tool, Asus Flash Utility, press enter. All right. Yeah. Okay, let's do that. So got a USB stick. Which I have a load of them here somewhere in a box. Of course I do. All right. There will be a brief interlude while my computer attempts to read the contents of a USB stick. Gives up and goes, "No, I can't, it's too complicated." Folks, I'm going to stream for about another 10-15 minutes. And I'm then going to park this and come back and figure out the rest of it later. Right. I guess I could use that one. Now that's a 64 gig stick, and I'm going to need one that's the right size to install Windows from, aren't I? That's 128 gig. That's too big. Where are all my sensible sized USB sticks? That's 128 gig. That's 128 gig. All right. I guess the question is, what file system does it expect the USB update to be on? Because if I grab that and sling those across onto this one, which has got a bunch of video files on it. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see what happens. That one's back to there. That's in. Switch that back to full screen projector. And advanced mode. Tool. Easy Flash 3. Yeah. All right. Yep. Oh, hang on. Why does it think the modification date of that file is the 13th of June? Yeah, all right. Yes, yeah. YOLO. Do you want to read this file? Yes, we do. Well, no, we want you to read it. I don't want to read it. I don't know what it says. I can't read BIOSes. Okay. 1066. Yep. Okay. Yep. Exciting, this, isn't it? Look, it's updating Area 5. I was just wondering if it's going to go all the way to Area 51. '07 Rain, is your case a fractal design defined 7XL? Yes, it is. That's what all of this stuff is going to go into once I've got it squared away and good to go and everything. Yep. This isn't tension, it's just part of the process. If a new computer boots and works and everything's fine first time, then you know it is going to be cursed for the rest of its days. Nah, it's fine. It's got a BIOS recycly, resetty, magic doobry thing, so yeah, it'll be going into the case just once I've valid. So the thing with putting it all in the case is, if you put it all in the case first and then you switch it on and something's dead on arrival, then you have to get it out of the case so you can put it in the box and send it back. and I did not want to get into that. So, as long as it's down to area 2, it's clearly not going up to 51. I'm going to Chester tomorrow, if anyone's in Chester. I'm going to be in Chester talking about open source and free software and open source sustainability and all kinds of stuff like that at a place called That Beer Place, and it's all on Meetup. So if anyone fancies coming to Chester and geeking out for a little bit, you should come to that. That'd be fun. I think 6 until 9. Ramblin' Geek says what time. Let me find a link. There's this website with Meetup stuff on it, and it's on there somewhere. Meetup.com. I'm going to... There it is. See, look. That's me on the internet. Update successfully, system will be reset. Update successfully, system will be reset. What is it doing? Do we think it's having another little think? You never can tell with BIOSes. Give it some time, it suddenly has to do things after being on the shelf for ages, says Renee. Yeah. I'm thinking it's probably doing new memory training and all kinds of things. So, tell you what, while that does that, I'm going to download Rufus. Let's switch that back to the screen cam. There we go. Rufus, look, Rufus, create bootable USB drives the easy way. Yeah, that's consent, fine. Download. Rufus 4.9, yes please. Yeah, that's cool. Right now I really do need to find a sensible sized, practically useful thingy, what's name, USB stick. Which is nuts, because I have bought so many of those things over the years. That one ought to do it. Yeah. BIOS is updating. Do not shut down or reset the system to prevent system boot up failure. That's promising. Oh, cool. So Rambling Geek, if you can make it, I have one little request that I always ask people on the internet to do, is come up and say hello and tell me that you're Rambling Geek from the internet. Because I think the record is about 9 months of interacting with somebody in person under their, human name, and interacting them online with their internet name, and having no idea that those people were the same person until I was like, is that person that person? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, that explains a lot and why they know all this stuff. So, it wasn't you, Surly. Don't worry. I figured you were out way before 9 months. Right. Okay. Let me see what is on that USB stick, and hopefully the answer is nothing. Okay, that appears to be an old version of Windows. Cool. All right. Fine. Whatever. So drive or USB image. All right. Oh. All right. Okay, so there's the BIOS. I guess we hit the defaults and see if we can get it to start installing Windows. What are you thinking, fam? Try that? Yeah. Yeah. Boom, yes. Yes. Save and exit. Okay. All right, so let's switch that back to the screen cam, and let's select somewhere e-libraries. There should be a Windows 11 ISO. All right. Was Rufus the thing which had the various options to, like, don't require a Windows account and all that kind of stuff? Where is it? Ah, there it is. Yep. Do I want BitLocker? I guess. Disable BitLocker automatic device encryption, which is the thing that if someone steals the hard drive, they can plug it into another computer and they can read what's on it, but yeah, no, turn it off for now. I can always enable it later. Right, yes. That's all cool. Start. Yeah. Is Windows Business the same as Pro? I don't know. I do know you can get an MVP, like you can get official like Microsoft professional recognition for Microsoft licensing. So, yeah. Okay, interesting. That's still booting straight into the BIOS. So what I think I'm going to do is shut it down, pop out 2 of the RAM sticks, boot it up again, see if that gets us as far as a sort of stable. Isn't Microsoft going to Linux more and more now? Let's check the boot order on here. So we don't want to boot off that. I'll tell you what, if we give it another 5 minutes, it will have finished copying Windows onto this USB stick. I can whack that in, hit the boot menu, see if we can boot Windows Installer, and see how far it gets. So Lithium, isn't Microsoft going to Linux more and more now? Microsoft's a big company. Microsoft does more things than you can possibly imagine, and then some, and is simultaneously doing Linux, Cloud, Azure, porting Windows to ARM, because the next generation of Windows laptops is going to be ARM processors rather than Intel x86. Yes, Microsoft is doing all kinds of things, but also they're still doing almost all the things they used to do as well. Windows is not going away anytime soon. Right, what do we got? AI Tweaker, do we care? So this is the whole like, oh, here are 274 random numbers you are welcome to mess around with as much as you like. My first computer, I knew what everything in its BIOS did. Every single setting in there. Yeah, okay, so we got the latest BIOS on there. That's cool. That's fine. AI Tweaker. So this has been called the AI Tweaker for the last 10 years in ASUS BIOSes. Like before AI was a thing. What do we think? Auto, manual, Expo 1, 2, tweaked? Yeah. Yeah, let's get an operating system up and running first. It's fun, this, isn't it? It's very meditative. Sitting watching the progress bar. There it goes. Just, you know what, if I come over here and I move that over there. So if I switch that, let's just take a look at what we got on here, because when manual mode is selected, the base clock can be assigned manually. Ramblin' Geek, I once had to install Windows 95 via floppy. It took all day. So my first job was installing Windows 3.1 and then Windows NT, and some of the machines we had to install it on didn't have CD-ROM drives. And so getting them, I got to the point where it's like, right, we need to get this as far as it's got Windows on it, it's got the NFS network file system drivers on it, it's got TCP/IP network drivers on it, and then we can install the rest of it over the LAN. And that was in 1997, and yeah, it took a while. It was, yeah, entertaining. So this is cool. Look at this. We got this this CPU memory. Then here we got this prediction, which is yeah, it'll take a while to figure out what all the numbers mean. So many settings. Like the BIOS has a search capability. That's when you know it's all gone too far. So this is supposedly a scrollable window. Oh, there we go. You have to drag it with the mouse backwards to get it to... Yeah, all right. That's definitely a Microsoft progress bar, isn't it? Like, we've been at 99% now for like a good minute or two. I should have booted this off USB-C. USB-C storage is blisteringly fast. And I do actually have a USB-C ISO drive, I just don't want to reformat it. It's kind of funny, like USB-C is the standard, but like you can't buy a mouse with a USB-C connector on it. You got to go USB like old school, or you got to go wireless. There's no kind of middle ground there. There we go. That's at 100%. It's the traffic noise. The noise is not the computer. It's fine. It's very, very hot here. I got the window open, and I live on quite a busy road. So yes, the noise you can hear is the traffic of southeast London on a beautiful, warm summer's day. All right. Yeah, that says ready. Okay, let's close that. And eject it. Can't eject it. Eject it, come on. It says it can't eject the thing because it's in use. Let's see if it's in use. It's not even about the speed or anything. It's the fact that all laptops I have now have USB-C ports on them. So if I want to take a wired mouse with me when I travel places, I got to take the wrong mouse and then an adapter to turn it back into the right mouse. Right. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's close any programs or windows that might be using the disk and try again. Alright, what might be using the disk? If I go there, right click that and eject. Okay. Try again. No. Cancel. Unlock with File Locksmith. Let's see what it thinks is using that. Yeah, alright. Cool. Oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. That was Explorer. That was useful. We were using that to do stuff. Right. Eject. Cool. Right. HDMI cam. Right. Okay. Do we think this thing is clever enough that if I cancel out of that and I get a boot and that's the one that was in there before. I'm going to need to restart this. So, so Kirsty's just, I think Kirsty's probably an hour or two behind on the stream, but yeah, AI, like we had COBOL, we had 4th-generation languages, we had expert systems, we had all these things, and everyone's like, it's AI, and then they're like, oh, no, the bits that work, we're going to give them a different name, and the bits that don't work, we'll call them something else. So, right, what are we thinking? So there's one of three things that is going to happen right now. Is no, I want to quit. I just want to restart. Yeah, all right. So either this is going to boot up and pop up a Windows installer and off we go, or it's going to boot up and drop me back into the BIOS and we're going to need to mess around with it a little bit, or it's not going to boot up at all. F4. Oh, it's not done this before. Hello. Right. Next. I agree everything will be deleted. Yes, I do. Windows 11 Pro. Next. Yeah, disk 0, unallocated oh, this is exciting. Look at it. To recap, you've chosen to install Windows 11 Pro and keep nothing. Boom. All right. We're going to try that again. Is it just me, or when you're doing, like, it says press F4, you like F4, 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 just hammer F4 as fast as you can. Keep pressing F4. Do not stop pressing F4 until something happens. Format the drive first, maybe. That was exactly what I'm going to try next. Yep, just mash the key like you're playing track and field too. Right. Next. I agree, yes. Next. '11 Pro, next. Yes. Oh, that's interesting. So it got as far as partitioning the disk, and then it crashed. All right, I'm going to delete and repartition those. So disk 0, partition that one. All right. Create partition. Now this should do the thing where it says Windows is going to make space to do some extra stuff. Should. Yep. Okay. Yeah, format that one. What are we thinking? Try the same thing again? All right. Cute. So it's possible. It might be Rufus. It might be. I mean, Rufus messes around with the Windows installer. What goes wrong goes wrong. In English, the expression we have is Murphy's Law, which is named after a guy named Murphy who worked for the United States Air Force. Who systematically installed something like 100 strain gauges the wrong way round. Yeah, I'm thinking Rufus here has messed up the installer, and we can't get around the things, because Microsoft hates Rufus because it switches off all the stuff that Microsoft wants you to be able to do. Yeah, Edward Murphy, West Point, Army Air Corps, and yeah, there's a story about this guy Murphy who they had a bunch of detectors, so like strain gauges they were using in rocketry testing. All right. Anyway, let's switch back to the HDMI cam. Oh, hang on, lost my pointer there. Windows 11 installation has failed, so I can pop that out of there. I can put that in there. I'm thinking, what is the absolute fastest USB interface I have on this machine that I can use to create the boot media? I'm thinking probably I want to plug it into one of these, which will be fun because there we go. Ah, interesting. Oh, yeah, yeah. And tried a different USB stick, because Windows just popped up and said that the one I just tried had a problem and would I like to fix it. So let's pop that one out. This would be so much easier if it wasn't buried down the back of a screen, you know? Okay, cool. That's the Win installer I used on my Framework laptop. That's all right. We can use that one. Right, let's get our old pal Rufus back up here. Switch that back to the screen cam. There we go. I just installed Rufus, right? But for some reason Rufus is not installed. All right. Rufus is not installable. Rufus just runs. Alright, so we're gonna rewrite that one. We're gonna pick the Windows 11 Business Editions, open that, and yeah, and this time, no, just turn all the things off. Yeah, I thought I downloaded the version of Rufus you actually had to install, but it just popped up. Isn't Windows always saying that USB sticks have something wrong? Yes. Okay. Hans says, any notable differences between Kagi and DuckDuckGo? So there are two reasons why I use Kagi. One, it's actually very good. I find its search very accurate. It's pretty good at finding the things I'm looking for. Two, it costs money. And I like normalizing the idea that web search is a service worth paying for, and that I really like the kind of normalizing the idea that you can create good software and you can sell it for money, and that's how you make revenue, and therefore you're not dependent on advertising or investment or any of those kinds of things. Quality of search results is great. I've never hit anything that I couldn't find. The nice thing about Kagi is that it has a thing called verbatim search, which means if you get something wrong, like if I search for Mirco service instead of microservice, what I find is I find everyone on the internet who's ever made that spelling mistake. So there's Mirco services, and there's a tech lead Mirco services on Glassdoor, and of course if you switch verbatim off, it then you need microservices. So the thing about Kagi is they pay for Google's search data. So they don't run their own crawler or anything. They have paid access to Google search APIs, which they then present in an interface that you can pay for, so you get basically access to Google quality search without Google advertising, Google AI summary, Google AdWords, Google just all the awfulness. And yeah, I like them very, very much, and I pay about $100 US a year to use Kagi as my default search engine, and I like it a lot. I really, really do. So. Because I've got the new computer build running on one of my outboard displays here, I just did the thing of trying to get a screenshot of it, which of course I can't do because yeah. But I can switch to the HDMI cam, can't I? Because if I do that, that will let me reset the size of that to be full screen, and then I can snapshot that. Cool. All right. hang on, I don't want to do that. I want to... I've got OBS here broadcasting its own stream as the background to, and I want to turn off the full screen projector, switch that off. And there we go. Yeah, Enigma, if this thing doesn't work, next thing. So I've got a an old Microsoft Surface, you know, the kind of like iPad that runs Windows device they made. And for that one, I could not boot it using a Windows image I created with Rufus. I had to create one with the official Microsoft Media Creation tool. So that's the next thing to try here. But I got a good feeling. I think maybe this will work. I think maybe I'll do the Media Creation tool as well while this is going on, so we can get that one up and running. There we go. Yeah, no more free updates for Windows 10 because we really enjoyed those free updates for Windows 10, right? Is this literally just a you can download Windows 11 for free from this website anytime you want and that's fine and no questions asked? Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Good. I mean, I get it. I'm a Microsoft MVP, so I get free access to things like Windows. But it's nice to know that it's now just completely free for anybody. I got keys. Keys are not a problem. Interesting. So you notice Rufus here, like the progress bar is now like that is about 78%. So if you don't do all of the the additional mess with this and change that and do that and post on a 10.xml, all that kind of stuff, it does actually install in something closer to linear, or configure it in something closer to linear time, which is kind of fun. So. Renee's saying blocks custom wallpaper. Yeah, my brother years ago got Windows 7 like Home Edition, the one you couldn't customize anything on, and it was so easy to work around all of the restrictions that it put in place and that kind of thing. I'm going to just. One Ramblin' Geek. Oh no, all the ones worked. You didn't even need the 02155s. Just 1111111 would pass the checksum check. So, and somebody got paid to think of that. Like, what are we thinking, fam? Is it going to work this time? Are we? Is the chat having a good feeling about this? Because this is last try. If this doesn't work, if it does work, then yay, it worked. I'm going to shut it down and do it for real later. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to shut it down and do something else and come back to it later. And I won't be back on stream for a couple of days because I'm going to Chester tomorrow. So I don't think it's going to explode, Renee. No, no. I mean, explosions can be provided. So Ramblin' Geek, I thought it was, will there be a Tech Bugs Rock and Roll tomorrow? There will be. I think I might be on it if I'm in Chester on time and I have decent Wi-Fi when I get there. Who knows? Right, close that. Eject that. Boop. Right. The precious key. Switch that back to that camera. There we go. Today is not Thursday, Surly Dev. Today is today? Today's Wednesday. I'm sure today's Wednesday. I mean, I know when I switched the computer on earlier, it thought it was Thursday, and I can see how that could be very confusing. Mash F4, mash F4, mash F4, mash F4. So Ramblin' Geek, if I recall correctly, the Windows or the Office 97 installer, the last 7 digits had to add up to something which was a multiple of 7, which is why 111111 worked, but also anything that adds up to 21. Yes. We're getting a few things ready. Tell us what they are. I want to know what you're getting ready. I'm curious. Okay. That one, yeah, just YOLO it. Yep, yeah. Yes. Progress. Let's just switch back to the bench cam so you all can see what I'm currently installing Windows on. I'm installing Windows on that. You see that? That? There? Yeah. Lixwolf says it's almost time for Shift F10 OOBE bypass NRO. What does that do? Let's look that up. Well, I'll promise I'll tell you. If actually, I'll tell you what we can do is let's we'll put a tiny little picture in picture so you can see the installer. There it is. Nice. All right, that's good to know. OOBE is out-of-box experience, isn't it? Oh, Renee says it's start MSCXH local only. Oh, that one must be good because it's on Reddit and it's new. All right, we can try that. I mean, I did have the experience a couple of weeks ago. I basically I hadn't been at my desk for nearly a month. Like it had been a long time since I just had a normal day where I sat down and worked on stuff. And I forgot my password. I forgot the password I used to get into the local user account on all of my devices. And everything else I have is in a password manager. But to get to the password manager, you need the password. And like, and I had this because it was the night before I was supposed to fly out to a conference. I was running a workshop and everything, and I had this sudden moment of, I've got backups for everything. Like, I've got a backup laptop, all of my content is in the cloud. What I don't have is any backup for I've forgotten my own password and I cannot log into any of my own laptops now. It was really scary. It like totally freaked me out. And you know, and what I did is I went home and I was like, what is it? And then of course you got to do think about something else because your fingers know it. Your brain, no. The brain is off doing something else. But the fingers know what the password is, and they're like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, well, of course it's that. And yeah, that was some like a scenario I'd not thought of because I don't think of myself as the kind of person who forgets passwords. Because yeah, that should be a thing. They sit you down and go, Mr. Beatty, you're old now. Here are some things you need to start doing, and they do that for like physical health. Like the whole blood pressure and check this and check that, and you probably need to do this every year. But they don't. They're like, yeah, you should probably like. Now you're going to realize why so many of your, let's go with more experienced colleagues would keep their network password on a post-it note inside their desk or in their wallet. That's why. How are we doing? Let's. Yeah. Oh. Darkness. I'm assuming that means that it's rebooting for a good scheduled reason and it's fine and it'll be back in a minute. Yep, something's happening. That is a Windows installer. A couple of years ago, I installed, we're talking about Office 97, I installed Office 97 on a VM because I wanted to get screenshots of the install process. And it took, there are like kind of 5 screens that pop up during the course of the installer. And I discovered that on a really, really fast, VM running on SSDs and everything, the whole installer took about 3 minutes, and that's because each one of those screens was programmed to stay on screen for a certain number of seconds. And when you went through and edited out the artificial delays, the whole installer took about 35 seconds. And that was some real, I remember doing that. Let's switch that back over to the big camera. There we go. We got the HDMI cam. I think this is the final reboot. You hear that? That's a helicopter. It's alive. Is this the right country or region? Yes. Is this the right keyboard? Yes. No, I do not want to add a second keyboard layout. Let's connect you to a network. How about let's not? Let's Shift F10. So what are we trying here? We're going to try start ms-cxh colon local only. ms-cxh local only. Boom. Right. You need to stop looking for a second because I got to put a password in here and I don't know if it's going to appear in plain text for complicated reasons. So, right. You can't see what I'm doing because it's a secret. In case you forget your password, security question 1. I'm just going to switch back over so you all can see this because it's quite special. So security question 2. What was the name of the city where... What was your name of the city where you... What was the first name of your oldest... Yeah, no, you're not CSI Miami-ing this, Jeff. Sorry. Right. So yeah, I need to pick some security questions, but I can't actually see what the security questions are because we've got into the... like... Alright. I can't help but think you should be able to see the whole of that question, right? Like, that would make a lot more sense. No, it's not going to be answer 1, answer 2, answer 3. As we've just discussed, forgetting my own password has become an occupational hazard at this difficult point in my life. So, right, I need to bring that down so I'm not literally staring directly into the sun. Hi. Getting things ready for you. This might take a few minutes. Don't turn off your PC. Hello, Marie. You turned up for the successful Windows install part. Large parts of the day could have been described as the Windows install part. Yes, I accept. Find my device. Yes. No. Okay. So this is still using onboard graphics. I haven't got the proper one on there yet. And it's not connected to the internet. But... Oh no, the start menu's over there now, isn't it? Because... I got work to do. All right, it's up. It works. AI components. There are no AI components. Cool, we can keep that like that. That's lovely. Yeah. All right. I'm going to wrap it up, folks. There you go. Started off with a big pile of boxes and ended up with a big pile of components with Windows 11 installed on it, which is not bad for however many hours that stream ended up being. That was a bit of a marathon, wasn't it? But yeah, cool. All right, working computer. Next time we do this, I may well be using this machine to actually run the stream. We shall see. 3 hours 30. That's not bad. My partner was like, how long does it take to build a computer? And I was like, I don't know, how long does it take to move house? Because there's the bit where you kind of do the sort of the crunchy bit, but it's going to be, weeks. For Jeff Surf's favorite naming themes for your machines. So I got really boring with this a couple of years ago. So my MacBook is called Dylan's MacBook. My main machine is called Hayworth, because I bought it right at the beginning of the first round of lockdowns in 2020, and I was thinking about that scene in Shawshank Redemption where Andy Dufresne is like gets that poster of Rita Hayworth, and it kind of is the key to keeping him sane throughout his incarceration. And I like 8-letter words, so Hayworth, I called it that one. But you're right, I need a more interesting scheme. I used to name them after planets. I used to the desktops and servers were all like planets, and laptops were satellites. So I had Ramblin' Geek has RGHQ1, RGLP1, RG NASA1. Yeah, but NAS is a different. No, you can't. No, NAS is too long. Those aren't the same length. They got to be the same length, otherwise the system doesn't work. Let's wrap it up, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's nice to be back on stream. It's been like I said, a really just a couple of months where one thing after another, a long string of days, certainly at the start of the year when it was cold and dark, and just mental health was not conducive to wanting a lot of people watching you try to do things. And then stuff got busy, and there's been all sorts of life stuff and all sorts of travel stuff happening. And I've also published my first course on Dome Train. That took a heck of a lot of work to get that done, but that's done, and it's out there, and yeah, so you can check that out. It's all about how to send email with .NET. It's called Email with .NET from Zero to Hero, and I think it's awesome. But yeah, check that out. And yes, I will be on probably on stream tomorrow for Tech Bugs and Rock and Roll, and if not, I'll be back on Twitch at some point in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, that's all 100% original typing, Rambling Geek. I do that with my speedy, spidey fingers, and I'm not at all programming keyboard macros and replaying them using a shuttle wheel. Good to see you, folks. Take it easy. Don't forget to have fun. I'll catch you on the next one.